very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, 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 free
when I go looking for truth about what happened that day and I go through the government's explanation, I'm sorry, I cannot, I might be able to lie to save somebody else, like just for the moment so I can explain what really happened later or something, like somebody's going to beat this guy up and go, hey, look, he's not even the guy you're looking for. I know this guy, his name's Bob. Really, the guy's name's Dave, just so I can get him out of the situation, find out what's going on, right? I would lie to save somebody. But in this case, there's nobody in the room but me while I look at this investigation. I am not going to lie to myself. I am not going to sit there and say it's possible for 12 tons of steel to vaporize into smoke. If you're not curious, and I'm not saying if you don't accuse the government of this, I don't know if it's right to just go and accuse people or not accuse people. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying if that doesn't make you at least, somewhat curious of the report they gave of what happened that day. And if the government's just ignorant and said something that couldn't be true, they should at least be corrected, period. They should at least be corrected. If you do not correct them, they'll be wrong forever. And one thing that is definitely wrong is that 12 tons of steel will vaporize into smoke at like jet fuel temperature. No, you need a kiln just to melt it. 12 tons of it especially would take some time. See, and you gotta wonder though, that makes you wonder, what do the people that work in steel mills think of this report? Have they seen it? I'm sure there are steel mill workers all over the country. The report circulated. It was a book published. You could have bought it at Walmart, the 9/11 Commission report. Right. You got to wonder what a steel mill worker would be thinking of that exact statement, that 2 12-ton steel engines vaporized into smoke. So you got to wonder what people would be thinking having to read these reports. I'm just one person that came across that. I was like, no, there is no way. There is no way in hell that those steel engines vaporized into smoke. And whether the government did it or the government didn't do it, somebody needs to correct them. Because that is impossible. I'm sorry. That is impossible. They need to find, at least go back through the information. Maybe, well, they could actually go and look at the videos that they have of the plane crashing into the side of the building. Now, they have videos because there were, I suppose there were towers, or not towers, but there were buildings around that area, around the Pentagon. They would have had security cameras on the Pentagon in those buildings even. It's like high-level government stuff. I'm sure they have like videos, right? So what they should do is just like re-examine the videos if they have any of like the debris or anything like that, like, you know, locked up in a government building somewhere. I'm sure they do that. They keep everything just in case. I mean, NASA finds a rock that slammed into the ground 100 years ago. It's on ice right now just in case. Right, and that's a rock slamming into the ground 100 years ago. I am sure the government still has all these pieces and all this stuff and in the video and all that stuff, but I'm telling you right now, if they don't correct themselves, if they don't care about correcting themselves, or if you don't care about helping them correct themselves, you are only allowing this stuff to continue happening. And I know it might not be so important to you where two steel engines go, we can prove the plane hit the building, right? I know the engines aren't that important, you know, as the people that were inside the plane. But look at all this other stuff, too, that they're wrong about. You can go flipping through the book and look that one up yourself. There are tons of places where they're actually stating impossible things, though. That's not the only place. And if you don't correct them on this investigation, if they show the international community that they perform investigations in impossibilities, then we as a people are not being represented correctly. You know, private investigation is legal in our country. Some countries outlawed. The investigations are to be handled by their militia or police and no one else. In our country, private investigation is legal because this is democracy and we are thoughtful, intelligent people. Private investigation is your right. And I'm telling you, the government said something that was not true. Do you care? Well, it all comes down to whether or not you care. And what I've been noticing on the websites, whether the conspiracy theorists are right or not, the conspiracy theorists are always being put down because they want to know. But really, the people who are putting them down all the time, they are trying to validate two 12-ton steel engines vaporizing into smoke. When listen to me. If you worked in a steel mill right now, you would be laughing your ass off. The steel engines do not vaporize into smoke. And if you were a physicist, you'd be going, do you know what kind of reaction you would get from doing that? With steel, you would have at least blown that building to bits, vaporizing that steel. Now, could it be an ignorant mistake? It could be an ignorant mistake. It could be. You know, say you were working at a desk somewhere and a politician came to you and said, we need your help, we need to explain there are no engines here in this great big pile, but as far as commercial airliners go, we've never had trouble finding them when they crash into the ground. Now, they did crash into a building, this is the Pentagon, but we need some help with the explanation of where these engines went. And you went, maybe, or a person went and maybe went through it and just kind of wrote it off like, well, they would have had to have vaporized. What else could have happened to them? Like they got up and walked away, right? What else could have been the case, right? If you don't find them there, where are they? So maybe that's how it got written that way. Interesting thing is, though, we know it's impossible. Physicists know that's impossible. Steel mill workers know that's impossible. Thoughtful, intelligent people know that that is impossible. Okay, so now